welcome to another edition of Teen Scare Talk Show, brought to you by Teen Scare Movement. We advocate, mobilize, and sensitize teenagers. My name is Adjoatu S. Bangura, and I will be your presenter for today. In today's edition, we are going to be talking about homelessness, what it is, the effects, the causes, and possible solutions to it. I have with me Mrs. Anna Lahai from the Ministry of Gender and Children Affairs, and Fatmata Zaraja, and also Patrick Samura. They're going to be helping me in today's discussion. So of course, like I said, today we're discussing about homelessness. So first of all, I want the viewers to know from you guys, what do you understand about the word homelessness?
Well, homelessness is when you don't have a home. You don't have to be living in the street to be considered homeless. Even living in a house that lacks the norms of a home is considered as a homeless house.
Okay, Patrick, do you agree with her?
Yeah, she made mention of even if you are living in a home, you can be homeless because there are certain times you might be living in a home or a roof, but you are not living in that home or you are not welcomed in that particular home, then that means you are homeless. At the same time, you are meeting so many situations, conflict in that home. It makes you feel like, am I living in this home? You know, these are questions you ask yourself. So I think people in such condition are really homeless because you don't feel like this is my home.
Okay.
I'm living elsewhere, so you are homeless.
Mrs. Anna Lahai, what do you have to tell us about the word homelessness?
In continuation to what my colleague panelists have said, I think homelessness is a state wherein you don't have a suitable place to live in, right? And like you are sleeping on the streets, you are sleeping in your car, sleeping in the bush, or you are living in a house, but there are no structures in that house, no family members, there's no elderly person to control the family. So it's like you're living by yourself and you're homeless.
So it's like when you're isolated on your own.
Yeah, isolated, exactly.
Okay. So of course, everything has a cause of why it occurs, right? And there are millions or dozens of causes of why homelessness is here in the society or the world as a whole. So what are some of these main causes of homelessness?
Well, like we said, we've given the definition for homelessness. Homelessness can be caused by war. If you are in a conflict situation, definitely you are forced to leave your house or to leave your home to run to a safer place which cannot have the description of a home. And also people living with disability. Some of them, because of their condition, the way their outlook, they are forced to live on the streets. And also we have people who just because of peer group influence, they want to go out to the street or into the world to search for themselves. So they are left on the streets. So these are some of the causes.
And also another cause is lack of affordable housing. In some situations, it's not like people don't want to live that kind of minimal standard of life, but lack of affordable housing can also be a cause of homelessness.
So there are not too many houses.
Yeah, there are not too many houses, and also the cost of paying for a minimum standard house, it's like costly. And also personal hardship. It's also a cause of homelessness.
So you're saying when somebody does not have enough money, they cannot afford the right house for themselves.
Yes, it's also a cause of homelessness.
Patrick, do you have any other cause in mind that you'd say is another of homelessness?
Poverty. Most people, I can say poverty and unemployment. If you don't have any money, and at the same time you don't look up to that status. Most people in Freetown today, before getting you as a tenant, they try to know the kind of person you are, and if you are jobless, I think you yourself will not even think of finding a place to live because it's embarrassing. How can you be living in someone's house and you don't have the money to pay? So that's the reason for homelessness. And also, whilst Ajaratu was talking, something popped in my mind. We've been seeing so many kids on the street, and when you attempt to ask them the reason for their stay in the street, they get to tell you that, well, I was having issues with my parents, this and this. Early child marriage is an issue for homelessness. Most kids nowadays, they want to get themselves educated and all, but their parents try to see how best they can force them into early marriage. So with their refusal, you hear the parents saying, I quote, they live in Amios if they listen to
they
the word.
kick them out.
They kick them out of the place, and some tends to live in their friends' houses, and that's where I see prostitution and all. So I think that's homelessness because that's not your home and that's not your choice.
Okay, Mrs. Analaha, you deal with this a lot. So from what Patrick was saying is that many kids, when they refuse to get married at an early age, they get kicked out of the home. Do you deal with a lot of these issues a lot?
Yes, as a ministry, we deal with issues like this nature.
Yeah.
And as children, for me, parents should not be asking their children to go into marriage because it's against the law, the Child Rights Act, and it's a violation of their human self because marriage is an agreement between two people.
Yeah.
So if the child and the other person do not have that agreement, and then you are a third person and you're forcing that child into getting married, then you are violating that child's rights.
Yeah.
And so most times what children resort to, those that are sober-minded, they take their parents or sometimes their aunties, because most times, again, what happens is that people go to the provinces, they go and take children, tell their parents that they are coming to educate them.
Yeah.
And when they come, instead of educating them, they maltreat them, they send them to the street to sell cold water, little items, and then 500 leons or 1,000 that is missing, that child will be beaten to hell. And so most of those children, they run away from those homes because they are being maltreated. Because in the first place, the contracts which they and their parents signed for them to come to Freetown has been violated.
Yes.
So some of them run away from those homes, and we are faced with lots and lots of those reports at our office.
Okay, thank you so much. So of course, when these kind of things happen, or when they're out there on their own in the street with nothing to eat, or they have nothing to eat, of course there are some effects that come along with this kind of thing. So what can you guys tell me are the effects of this type of act?
Well, more than 90% of the women that are homeless in the streets out there is a cause of physical or sexual violence. One effect is that when they run away from these homes and live in the streets, they get harassed by men and they are sexually abused. They get raped. And it is an effect that is already causing a great problem because it causes teenage pregnancy. When you get raped and you become pregnant, it's a problem. And also it gives some kind of infection to some girls, and most girls are challenged with such problems.
Okay.
And like we said, homelessness to some extent is a complicated and a social issue that is deep-rooted in communities, right?
Yes.
And so homelessness sometimes affects the social, the physical, and the academic lives of be it boys or girls, men or women. Because when you are homeless, it affects your self-esteem.
Yeah.
And so you begin to look low on yourself, and then you start indulging in things that brings you down to some kind of level that you yourself, on normal occasion, you don't want to do, but you are forced to do it. You either steal, or you do sex for money, or you either go and tote. You indulge in things that is really demeaning, that really affects your self-esteem, and it affects you socially, physically, and you see some of those children, they've become stunted.
Yeah.
They don't have hair in the middle of their head just because they always have to carry loads.
Yes.
So all of this, and some of them drop out of school, and so we have lots of dropouts, which is a social issue, because the human capital, the human resource, is very important for the development of every country. But then if those that should be developed, those that should be educated, are being dropped out because of homelessness, then it's a problem.
Yeah. Patrick, how does this affect the kids psychologically?
Well, most of the times you see these kids, because of they are no longer at home, that think within themselves that I'm no longer at home, I have no parents to tell me what to do and what I should not do. I have no parent who takes care of me. I think for me to have my own living, I think I need to engage myself in some other things.
Yeah.
So for the boys, you see them engaging in car washing, just as our mother rightly mentioned, you've deprived them of their childhood. Because you see, as a young boy or child, by this time you should be in school. Instead, you are at the car wash washing those guys' cars, and at the same time you are along the street. I could bribe a body, you see, all of these things. And for the girls, and for the girls, you see at night the dress get to do sex work as a way for them to earn. Most of the times we criticize these people to say they are mentally not okay or some other things we say to them, but it is because of their situation. Though as an individual you need to reason with yourself, but at the same time trying to reason with yourself, you meet so many situations and so many problems, and you be like, I have no other option unless I have to do this. But as time goes by, you see changes. So I think most prostitution, child prostitution, that are happening as a result of homelessness, and as she rightly mentioned, for me to conclude this aspect, is that disease. Most of them, you see them with skin disease, ringworm, what we call in Creole lagba. You see it on their skin, and if you take a look at these kids, you don't even have the gut to do a second looking at their skin. It's really, really demeaning. So homelessness is really causing a lot of problems to childs out there.
Of course, to what you guys have said, it's like it affects them in a very, very large way.
Yeah.
So it's very dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, of course, viewers and listeners, you've heard what they have said about homelessness, and I think that you've got an idea of what it is, it causes, and some of the effects that it carries along with it. But we're going for a short break, and we'll be right back to continue the discussion.
Williams, I'm the person who is bringing up the initiative with Teens Care Movement.
You're watching a program brought to you by Teens Care Movement. Welcome back, viewers. Of course, if you're just joining us again, or you just got to meet the second part, we're discussing about homelessness, what it is, the causes and effect of it. So now we've discussed about all of that. Let's go to the roles that people have in order to make sure that children or people are rightly to be taken care of. So I'm going to ask you, Mrs. Analai, what Patrick said earlier about the child marriage. Of course, some parents actually force their kids to run out of their homes. What are the roles of the parents in order to ensure that their kids have a safer place to live in so that they cannot run off and go to other places?
Well, as parents, I think we should make the sacrifice for our children, because in bringing up a child, in making sure that your child stays at home and grow up in a man or a woman that she should become in the future, there are a lot of sacrifices parents have to make.
Yes.
First of all, you have to be disciplined. Because even the Bible says, train up your child in a way that he or she should grow up, so that when they become old, they do not depart from it. So we should instill discipline in our children. Instill discipline in our children and train them to become self-sufficient. accept yourself the way you are. You don't have to be Hannah when you are not Hannah. You don't have to be Patrick when you are not Patrick. We are all created in a different way, and all of us have our own talents.
Yes.
And so as parents, we should encourage our children to become what they want to be.
Yeah.
Don't force your child because you have become a doctor, a medical doctor or an academic doctor, and then you now say my child should also become a doctor at whatever cost. What if the child does not have the brain of becoming a doctor? Or what if the child have another interest? So these are all some of, create a platform for your child, a communication channel wherein you and your child will talk and discuss. Don't impose on your child. Yes, he or she is your child, but that does not give you the moral responsibility to impose on him or her what he or she should do.
Okay.
So these are some of the things normally that leads to homelessness. Because if, for instance, I am a gender activist and I want, like me, all my children wants to do science. So I cannot force them because I'm an art student. I cannot force them to be an art student to become a lawyer, because the lawyer that I wanted to be, I did not become. So I now want to impose on my child. I'm forcing that child to do something crazy that will make him or her to leave the house and then indulge in things that will bring shame to my family. So as parents, we should talk to our children, give them the space to become who they want to be with our guidance, but imposing no.
Okay. So Fatimata, of course I'm sure you've never run away from home, right? That is so what are some of the things that you think your parents do to you that you think are never something that going away or getting out of the home has ever not crossed your mind? What do you think your parents do?
Well, firstly, it's encouragement. When you encourage your child, sit them down, tell them that this is right, this is wrong. I am doing this to you. You know, most times they say parents don't flog their children because they hate them, but because sometimes they want to instill good morality in you. So sometimes, even if you flog your child, sit her down or you sit him down and say, I did not flog you because I hate you, but because I want you to become a moral and a good person in society. As kids, we need encouragement, we need love, we need that kind of affection, we need attention. We like to be given that kind of platform to showcase what we have. Like some parents, they totally disagree with their kids when it comes to their talents. Okay? If I have a talent in acting and my parent says, no, I don't want you to become an actress, that's also not good, because you're making me go down and not believing in myself.
The parents should believe in their kids.
Yes, they should believe in their kids. And also as a child, no matter what you're going through, no matter how your parents treat you, when you know this is a goal and this is what you want to achieve, try the best that you can to achieve it in a good way.
That is actually bringing me to my next question, and I'm going to pass this on to Patrick. I'm sure you've also not ever run away from home, right?
No,
and there are reasons why you've never done that. What is the role of the child, to make sure that he or she does not end up being homeless?
Well, one way as a child for you to keep staying at home is always listen to your parents. And at the same time, we mostly say parents don't allow children to make their choices. As a child, the choice you make affects you in the future. And if your mama or your papa tell you that what you are doing might affect you in the future, don't immediately say, my mother don't want to support me or my father don't want to support me. Find a quiet place and sit. Get a rethink over the thing you want to do. And say, okay, if my mama or papa says that this will affect me or that will affect me, let me take a look at both sides. How is it going to affect me? You get to look at these things and see whether they are right or not. Because most of the times as children, we have our own ego. And as parents, they have given birth to us. They have a right to us. That's just sacrosanct. They have a right to us. And at the same time, parents do need to listen to their kids. If a kid has already rethink over the thing and say, Mama, I want to become a fitter. I want to become a photographer. You know, maybe that's his choice. You just don't know. We have people that are fitter in Sierra Leone that are rich. We have people that are photographers in Sierra Leone that are rich. Empower your child. And as a child, get to listen to your parents and do whatever you think is right so as to please them. And at the same time, please the people within your community. Never allow your ego to carry you out.
Yeah, you're
because
definitely right.
most kids, they allow their egos to carry them out. And that is where we get conflicts between the parents and that of the children. Because you might say, Mama, I want to do this. Because you've seen others out there doing it. So in whatever way or whatever mean, even if it goes with you to the extent of disrespecting your parents just for you to achieve it, you want to do it because you are seeing it out there. No. As a kid, take a look at the status of your family. With that, forge ahead and see how best you can make your family and your home a better place for all of you.
Okay. Mrs. Analahai, do you agree with Patrick has said as the role of a child?
Of course, because like he rightly said, children should not be disobedient. Because even in the Bible, this is the only commandment with a promise. It says, honor thy father and thy mother so that thy days may be long. So as children, we should be law abiding. We should be obedient to our parents. We will disagree. But even us as parents, if you come to us and sit us down and explain to us why you want to do this, sometimes we see reason. But if you want to impose it on us and as if you are the one feeding us, you are the one providing for us, or you are the one that gave birth to us, then we will not. So sometimes it is good that children obey their parents. But at the same time, as children, you should know what is right and what is wrong. Because there are some parents who talk their children into doing things that are not right. And so it is not always you have to do what your parents say. Some parents, for instance, they are smokers, they are drunkards. They want to send you to go and buy some stuff for them. So it's your right to say, no, I'm not going. Because when once you start buying, you know, as children we like experimenting. He or she might want to experiment. Let me taste this cigarettes. Let me taste this rum. So it's not everything that parents tell you. That is why you should use your critical thinking. You yourself should know what is right and what is wrong.
That is definitely right. Of course, the society has a very big role to play in this. Also, the government has a very big role to play in this. But let me start with you first, Fatmata. What do you think is the role of society and the government to making sure that, you know, homelessness ends totally?
Well, I think the role of the government, as Madam Hannah is already here, I think from the ministry it's their role to bring up educational programs for kids, to sensitize them on their rights and responsibility, and also to the parents. And I think the role of the society is to help in embracing children. You know, in some societies, when a parent throw their kids out of the house, they say, not take a more than the mama don't give them. And that's not a good thing. Maybe him or she is a good and a positive maker. You never can tell what that child can be in the future. So as a good society, or as good society leaders, you should always embrace children and also try to create that enabling environment for them to express themselves and know whether this is good for them or this is not good for them.
Okay. Patrick?
Well, on the aspect of the government, there is a verse in the Bible in Proverbs 31 verse 8 to 9, which says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. And for the rights of all who are destitute, speak up and judge fairly, defend the rights of the poor and the needy. You know, most people who are homeless, it's not by their choice. And definitely, I can say 95% of those who are homeless, it's not their choice, it's by chance. So it's the right of the government and the society to speak up for these people, because it affects either angles. It affects the government, and at the same time it affects the society. I only explain how it affects the society, and as a government also it does affect you, because we are also part of the government. So as a government, let's try and see how best we can make policies for these homeless people. As one of a way or solution for homelessness is the provision of housing. it's not only for the provision of this housing, but also at affordable prices. Because most, I can say, we are having empty places where you can ask for rents, but the price alone will tell you, I'm not fit here.
Yeah.
I'm not fit. So I think that's a way you can help as a government or as a society. And at the same time, as a society, we have a major role to play. As a society, we are acting as a government for the people within that community. So let us try and see how best we can be creating community sensitization, and at the same time trying to see how best we can organize people and set up community mobilizers who can talk to parents and kids at the same time about the effect of homelessness and some of its causes. One of which I mentioned was early marriage.
Yes.
Let us see how best we can be getting a dialogue with parents and their kids about early marriage, its effects and all. With that, I believe the community can be at least free to some extent of homelessness, because everything in this world, we just can't eradicate them instantly. It's a time, it's a process. So the community, with their role in sensitization, and the government in providing houses at a minimal cost, I believe homelessness will minimize. Yeah.
Miss Anna Lahai, what are you guys doing to end it, and what do you guys think you should continue to do, or in the future, what do you guys think you should implement to make sure that kids are safe?
Like Patrick just said, homelessness is sometimes not by the making. It's not a choice that people make.
Yeah.
And because it is not by their own choice, not by their own making, circumstances have forced them into becoming homeless.
Yeah.
And then, but because they are homeless, people stigmatize them. People talk them down. People say all sort of things about them. So as government, I think we should increase our advocacy and help to cushion down or lessen down the stigmatization associated with homelessness. And also, we should also try as a government to create the enabling environment for all its citizens. Create the enabling environment, because one of the major causes I can say is people cannot afford good housing because they are poor, because they are unemployed. So let people be trained into skills. It's not everybody that can go to university. If people can train how to make chairs, how to drive caterpillars, how to make clothes, how to be hairdressers, how to make up, do cosmetics. People can be trained in diverse ways.
Yes.
And then, because eventually these are social problems that have been endemic in the society for quite a long time, and it cannot be avoided. And so because it cannot be avoided, government should sort of create a structure wherein children that are homeless are placed into that community. Make for instance a village for them where you can house them, train them, teach them to become viable citizens, so that it can be minimized. Because definitely there are some homelessness that are by choice. We cannot say we can eradicate it totally, but it can be minimized with government's intervention.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. So before we close down, I want you guys to give your last advice or your parting words to our viewers out there. What is your advice to them?
Well, just few words. Homelessness is mostly, not all the time, by choice, but by chance. And if it's by chance, try and see how best you can make yourself meaningful in society. Don't give away your pride because of your the situation you are in. Every human being can turn your zero into something better. You have a life, your life is with you, and you can make it meaningful. Parents and guardians out there, you have a role to play. Your kids are not any kind of animals that you can just treat and use them how you feel like using them. They are also parents for their kids that will be coming up. Try and see how best you can train them the best way they should. As the Bible itself says it, try and see how best we can make our life and the life of our community a better place for our children.
Okay.
Homelessness is not for them.
Fatimata?
Well, my last word first to the government. I think they should create the enabling environments like employment for youth, because most of the homeless people out there are youths, and they are homeless because they are jobless. You understand?
Yes.
Some it's not their choice, like Mr. Patrick said. And also to the parents, we should be encouraging, loving, and also have that chance and time for our kids. And to the kids out there, it doesn't matter what you're going through, it doesn't matter where you're staying. It doesn't come by that. You can make it, you can do it, you are strong, and I know that you can prove it to the world that you being homeless doesn't mean your brain is less. So please, let's try our best to be part of the good leaders in society.
Okay. Miss Analahai.
And I'd like to conclude that homelessness is usually situational and can be caused by many factors, such as relationship breakdown, loss of job, or various health issues. The fact is that none of us is immune to experiencing homelessness. People experiencing homelessness want to get off the streets and be sober. But the fact is that not one of us is immune to this risk. It could happen to anybody. And because homelessness could happen to anybody, nobody has the singular rights or the moral rights to condemn or to judge or to stigmatize people that are homeless. So as parents, as kids, and as governments, we have the moral responsibility to work together to stop homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being on the program today. So, listeners, remember this quote that says, people who are homeless are not social inadequate. They are people without homes. So, I believe you guys have been well informed about today's topic, which has been homelessness. My guests have actually made it a possibility for you guys to know what it means, what causes it, and the effects of it. So I hope you guys will take care of other people too who you don't know, because as Mother Teresa once said, if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. I have been a presenter for today, Adjua to S. Bangla. Until next time, bye bye, have a nice day.